All right, we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in our live stream. We're going to talk about a new bill that's being proposed that would be, if it turns into a law, would be really good for crypto, okay? What you need to understand about this, because, there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines, wondering whether they should participate in the crypto space because, there's so much, there's lack of clarity around laws regarding different crypto assets. They're wondering if, it's safe to participate in crypto, and this would be a really good thing in my opinion. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to look at a lot of other news updates that have happened in the space since yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just turn on notifications, subscribe. You're going to find out about those whenever we go live. We're going to answer some of your questions, check out the crypto markets, and a whole lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Culturize, we got Technically, Above Realty, Ugandan Crypto Guru, Dale, Jay, I hope I'm saying that right. Let's see here. Yashwanth. Let's see here. Eileen, welcome. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's talk about this new bill that's being proposed and how this would be good for the entire crypto space. Okay, so like I was saying before, let's kind of set the stage for this, because there are so many different people who are sitting on the sidelines watching what's happening in crypto saying, hey, this looks like a massive tech trend that's taking off. But I still have lots of questions, like, is crypto going to get regulated to where, if I bought crypto right now or started participating in that, I could be negatively impacted by those future regulations? Like, could a regulator come out and say, like, hey, this cryptocurrency that you bought, we're going to call that a security now, and then, basically either you could potentially lose access to the funds that you purchased in some way through some regulatory crackdown, or just the value of the assets you purchased could decrease because now the perception about those things have changed. Okay. So that's holding a lot of people back, with individuals, institutional investors, long-term participants in crypto. Okay. So, regulatory clarity is something that we need in order for the crypto space to really become what it can be long-term. And so we've seen a number of attempts to get clarification on this, but there's one senator, Cynthia Lummis, who's been working on this for quite some time, and has officially proposed a bill to outline a sweeping plan for future rules for cryptocurrencies and digital assets. And so I want to talk about that today, because I think this is a good thing, and that there are really, really good bright spots inside of here that I want to highlight and show you why they're important. So first of all, let's talk about regulations in general. My personal opinion on this, I think the crypto space is, can exist just fine without overreaching regulations. But I'm also a realist in thinking that, regulations are coming, right? They're coming. Laws about all this stuff are coming. We have laws about it now, but more regulations are coming. And so what's the best thing that we can do is fight for the best regulations that we can possibly get. And I think this is a step in the right direction. So let's break this down and see what's in here. I found a tweet thread that does a pretty good job of covering some of the main highlights on this. So I want to break this down. We got more people jumping in here. We got Automatic Beats, Xavier, Bruno, Sneaks, Oscar, Quinn, Byron. Welcome. All right, so let's break this down. So the Lummis bill has officially released, okay, is a landmark bill talking about cryptocurrencies and digital assets. So here's some of the major points in the bipartisan bill introduced here. So first of all, one thing that's really good is that it classifies cryptocurrencies as a medium of exchange. So what's the benefit of this? Well, essentially, what it's saying is that cryptocurrency transactions could be tax exempt up to $200. So that actually gives more utility value to cryptocurrencies themselves. So one of the biggest issues right now, of course, aside from volatility, it's like you held some Bitcoin in a wallet and you wanted to go buy a cup of coffee with it. Well, technically speaking, under the current legal, status of cryptocurrencies, if you bought Bitcoin, let's say at, let's say you bought some at $29,000 like today, right? And then Bitcoin goes up to $32,000 and you would go pay for that cup of coffee. Technically, you should be paying capital gains tax on the difference in that cost. Okay, so the volatility is an issue, right? Because it could go down. You may not want to hold the Bitcoin or to pay for stuff. But if you did pay for it and then the price went up, you're technically have a tax liability on that like small transaction, which is a massive pain in the neck if you're going to try to comply with that. Because who wants to spend all their time accounting for, a few dollars of increase, right? And then have to go report that. It's not worth anybody's time. So one thing this would do is basically provide an exemption of all transactions up to $200. So if you go buy coffee, 5 days a week, on Bitcoin, then, who cares, right? Or if you're going to buy regular stuff under $200, then who cares? Now, we could see some loopholes where people break things up into multiple transactions to try to get away from this. Maybe we're gonna set you up to buy a new boat on a 365-day payment plan where we charge you $199 a day for 365 days to pay for this. I know it's probably doesn't add up to the price of a whole boat, but we'll probably see some loopholes in there. Anyways, but the whole point is the small transactions definitely is a good thing. So next is commodity or security. And this is one of the biggest fears that people have, is that they're going to basically look at all cryptocurrencies and say, like, hey, these things are securities, like they have to fall into the same jurisdiction as the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. And like a lot of these people who create this stuff are going to jail for violating securities laws, and therefore the sentiment of the projects are going to tank. It's going to be bad news. So we've long had, some input that it's kind of a gray area right now. We don't know what the jurisdiction for each individual cryptocurrency is, but for a long time we've had outside input that Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example, would fall underneath the commodities umbrella. So not under the SEC jurisdiction. Okay. Now we have some. But we haven't really codified that, okay? We haven't codified that. But basically, the whole point here is that SEC will oversee securities, where the CFTC will regulate the commodities, and Bitcoin and Ether clearly being guaranteed as commodities. And that would be a really good thing. And so why is that? Well, basically, to be classified, so the long-standing clarification for securities versus other things is securities have to pass the Howey test, okay? So the Howey test basically is talking about, do people expect to get a financial return from the thing itself? And a lot of people say that pretty much every cryptocurrency fails that test. They're all trying to get a future return, but there are some caveats that are meant to be factored in here. So an ancillary asset is an intangible, fungible asset that's offered, sold, or provided to a person in connection with the purchase and sale of a security through an arrangement or scheme that constitutes an investment contract. So to be classified as a security, the digital asset must provide the holder with a debt or equity interest in a business entity, liquidation rights, or entitlement interest or dividend payments from an entity provide, basically. So basically, digital assets not fully decentralized and which benefit from entrepreneurial and managerial efforts that determine the value of assets but are debt or equity don't create rights or profits under financial interest in a business entity are not securities if they're disclosed with they're filed with the SECs and disclosed twice a year. So that's also good news, because that means there's lots of other tokens that could potentially avoid the securities classifications if they fall underneath this umbrella. So essentially, you could have some of these like DeFi tokens or other tokens that are related to apps. You know what I mean? Where you could launch a cryptocurrency and you wouldn't basically be classified as a security under the SEC. So that's actually a huge deal, because there's a lot of sentiment in the crypto space right now that essentially tokens are dead, right? That all these tokens went down, they're never coming back. Like if you built an app and launched a token, that they were in this gray area that, maybe the SEC is coming after you in several years. And for that reason, basically for that reason, like, yeah, these cryptocurrencies that have fallen massively in price may never recover. But this could be a really big catalyst, essentially, for people to go risk on with tokens, because now we don't have quite as much, we don't have as much, FUD around whether these things are going to get, absolutely, hammered by regulations, assuming that they are complying with the regulations that are proposed here. So the SEC and CFTC are tasked with studying and reporting on the creation of self-regulatory organization, on a self-regulatory organization, SRO, that could complete the regulatory work. So we're looking at basically creating a new governing body to help push this forward, which would be great. They're also tasked with developing a set of cybersecurity guidances for digital service providers. The bill also requires study of the power consumption of digital assets. That's a big hot button issue on the electrical energy consumption of things like Bitcoin, consensus mechanism, a proof of work. Let's see here. So here's another thing. The bill requires the Government Accountability Office to analyze the opportunities and risks associated with investing in Bitcoin and digital assets with retirement accounts. Findings will be recorded to Congress, Treasury Department, and Labor. So this is definitely moving in the right direction, right? The fact that we're even having these conversations about how we can review these types of things before Congress, so that we could potentially have digital assets in people's traditional retirement accounts, be a big deal. Because here's a huge deal. Here's a big reason why that's a big deal. With all these traditional retirement accounts, in many cases, like, you have somebody who can do. I want to know how this would work with crypto, right? Because I know if in some cases, like, if you have assets that are in a qualified retirement account, that essentially, the person who's managing that for you, like, let's say you're not going to cash out of that account and start drawing on it till you're of retirement age. Well, basically, like, the person who's managing those funds for you, can, in many cases, can move assets around, that you don't have the same tax status that you would if you were just doing it yourself. So if it's out of your control, and I'm, again, not a tax advisor, not a financial planner, you can't take any of this investment advice, but essentially, being able to move, rebalance your portfolio, move in and out of different assets without having the same tax implications would if you were sitting here trading on a cryptocurrency exchange. That could be a big incentive for people to actually contribute to cryptocurrencies in their retirement accounts. Let's say it's a Roth IRA, let's say it's a 401k. We don't know exactly what those are going to be like for sure, but that could be a big catalyst that could add buying pressure and demand to the cryptos themselves if we can get clarity and people can actually, contribute to them in qualified retirement plans. So as self-custody, the bill grants rights to a person to keep control of digital assets they own. That's good. So there's no FUD around people saying, like, "Hey, yeah, you can own crypto, but you can't hold it in your own wallet. you gotta let us hold on to it for you." So anyways, there's a lot of good things inside of here. Now, let's be 100% clear, transparent on this. This is a bill. All right, this is not a law. Bill has a very specific process that it has to go through before it becomes a law. All right. So this is the beginning of a foundation that we need to be laid before things can really get to that level and get that clarity in the public conversation and in our actual codified laws. So it's a step in the right direction, but I suspect that this is, gonna give some confidence for the space going forward. And you kind of need to, like, get new fertile ground for the next wave of crypto. And I think this is going to be a step in the right direction, and this could very well be timed with that next sort of leg of adoption, and also interest, right? So think about it this way, people tend to, like, kind of check out of the crypto space for a while whenever things get kind of bearish. And when they come back, it's either the same people, a subset of the same people coming back, or brand new people, or a combination of both, right? And then when they come back, they see an entirely new landscape because they didn't see all the changes that happened while the space was quiet and, didn't have quite as much as attention. So That's basically what happened. I was here throughout 2018, 2019. All right, whenever you know, the massive bear market crypto winter happened. Okay, and then basically like, you know, we developed all this stuff during that time, right? When people came back, they came back to an ecosystem with decentralized applications because we didn't really have them whenever we were in the bear market. We had ICOs, right? We had some dApps. Like I remember dappradar.com when they launched back in I think it was early 2018. We had a list of dApps on there, like CryptoKitties was on there. We had a bunch of gambling apps. We had like a bunch, I can't remember what else was on there, but like there wasn't really a Uniswap, you know what I mean? There was like an Ether Delta, right? You could do that type of stuff, and like Fork Delta, but there was definitely nothing. There was no. I mean, there were some NFTs, like we had CryptoPunks, we had CryptoKitties, but it was not the craze that you see now. There was no borrowing, lending, DeFi apps. But now, like when people came back, basically when that attention came back, we saw all this DeFi stuff. We saw the massive casino, right? We saw the NFT marketplaces. OpenSea launched pretty early in 2018, but it was not anywhere near the adoption that it has now, the attention. So same type of thing. Like whenever people check out, they come back, they're potentially going to see stuff like this where crypto has a much more mature ecosystem. I expect the scaling to be a lot better, especially with layer 2s that are, getting adoption now, like Optimism, Arbitrum. Definitely check that video yesterday. I talked about the Arbitrum airdrop coming out. But to me, if there is regulatory clarity that's actually codified into the U.S. law, then that's going to pour gasoline onto. It's going to be a force multiplier, basically, where the technical fundamentals and the adoption are key, right? And then what you can do with crypto is key. Prices going up is key, but the real force multiplier, in my opinion, is going to be regulatory clarity, and this is a 100% step in the right direction for that. So, let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Somebody says venture capital gates just opened. A lot of changes, yep. Lummis also includes provisions on stablecoins, such as requiring issuers to hold U.S. dollars or dollar equivalents to enable redeeming by the customer at any given time. Yeah, so basically they want them to be backed. So they don't want these algorithmic stablecoins that have blown up like crazy. Basically, we don't want a repeat of the Terra Luna disaster that just happened. Somebody says foreign developers who create new coins, etc., will not abide by U.S. rules. What a bunch of okay. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying here. That like if the U.S. makes laws, like why on earth would people who are not in the U.S. like what's going to stop them from making coins that don't abide by these rules? 100%. Like there's nothing that's going to keep people from building like scams and unregulated digital assets and all that type of stuff. It's a blockchain. They can do what they want to. But like the market's going to perceive those things as such sketchy, like high risk products that all they're going to be used for is like short-term gambling and speculation. But if you have a cryptocurrency like Ether, for example, that has a massive potential to be like included into traditional financial products, as a yield-bearing asset, like a staking asset. If you want an asset that's going to be included in retirement accounts, okay, to be classified as a commodity and not a security, yeah, you can't stop developers from forking Ethereum, but they can't make an Ethereum, right? Or similarly, like let's say you launch a crypto, like the incentive, if you have long-term mindset and you actually want to get a massive market share over time and create something of long-term sustainable value rather than just a short-term pump and dump, like rug pull scam, basically. Like if you want to do that instead of like if you want to create a legitimate project for the long term rather than just a short-term cash grab, which there's going to be a lot of cash grabs, then you have fertile foundation to build upon if you have clarity under U.S. law, because you have all these people that are not just short-term opportunists, gamblers who want to put their money in something that has less risk in it. It's all risk-reward scenario. So yeah, there's always going to be like people who are outside the U.S. jurisdiction creating sketchy apps, you know, that promise people the moon and then they rug pull or they just dump in value anytime there's a scare in the crypto markets. But this is a huge deal for legit crypto assets long term. Somebody says crypto can finally breathe with this small degree of clarity. Yeah, I think it's a good time. I mean, it's not set in stone yet, right? We've seen lots of bills. We saw the infrastructure bill move forward. When you're going to see some revisions on this type of stuff, probably. But this is definitely a step in the right direction. Let's think about how complicated it will become to create our own crypto exchange if regulation flows into exchange creation. Hello, paperwork nightmare. Nobody will do it anymore. Costs will skyrocket. I mean, there's already massive barrier entry to create a successful cryptocurrency exchange. This is next bull run will be a DeFi bull run. Could be. What about crypto in Africa? So, I mean, here's the thing. I think this will be a situation because, yeah, somebody was talking about a minute ago, like, who cares about the U.S.? Like, you know, it's not going to stop foreign developers from, you know, creating sketchy apps, all that type of stuff. You know, what about what's going to happen in Africa is the other question here. So, I mean, I do think a situation where whatever the U.S. decides to do is good for the entire crypto space, assuming that, you know, the regulations proposed here are generally favorable, like what we see here, and there aren't like massive revisions to the downside, right? Because basically it's a situation where there's so much money from the U.S. that is sitting on the sidelines, in my opinion, that would participate in this space with greater clarity. And so if those participants enter into the space, then it's good. You know, people talk about like what's going to happen in Africa. I mean, U.S. participation, in my opinion, you know, is going to be a good thing. I'd say that just objectively, right? I'm not. A lot of people watching the video. It's just because you're from the U.S. Blah 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 blah. No, it's just because, you know, how is it bad for more people to participate in crypto and more money to flow into the space? Like that's the whole point. Somebody says, I want to be a blockchain master. Then definitely subscribe to the channel. Check out those videos on my YouTube homepage. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And yeah, start building your application today. Of course, we don't see much response from the crypto markets. We see a little bit of response. You know, we see, if you call this a response, but it's because we saw a big BART. We got a liquidation and then a dump last night. So I guess this is kind of corresponds to the news a little bit, but doesn't get anybody too excited. So my question is, what happens if crypto just does this for a year? Bitcoin basically becomes a stable coin. I don't think that's going to happen, but wouldn't that be like max pain? Bitcoin just does this and does absolutely nothing for an entire year. So what do y'all think down in the comment section below? Are we gonna see a June rally for Bitcoin? Was this thing right here the pathetic June rally for Bitcoin? Are we gonna dump from here as the bottom end for crypto? What do y'all think? Somebody says, I expect a lot of geo-walling, i.e. this DeFi app is not available in your country. Yeah, in terms of user interfaces, for sure. It's going to be easier to get around those if you're sophisticated, but most people are just going to want to use the interface. So this is max paying $8,500 to $11,500. Be prepared. That'd be pretty bad for Bitcoin. Be pretty bad. Tony says, upside coming. Good news with regulation. LFG devs. Well, yep, that's right. LFG. Who will be the first truly global exchange? Well, we kind of already have that with decentralized exchanges. That's one of the reasons I like them so much. Somebody says if merge succeeds, the ether will rise. We'll see. Yeah, there's a lot of opinion that the merge is going to lift the ether price. We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of things that would stand to reason that would be the case, but it's a tricky time right now in crypto. People talk about things trading on narratives and all that type of stuff. That can be true, but it can also it's usually more true when there's a risk-on environment, and we're definitely in a risk-off environment. So there might be some traders try to front run the Ethereum merge, but there's always going to be implementation risk with the Ethereum 2.0 merge. Now, I don't really think anything bad's going to happen with the Ethereum 2.0 merge, but there's, just thinking about it from an investor standpoint, that is risk, right? That's risk that you don't know. So why would you want to hold Ether before a big risky event happens, or hold your entire position through it? Because, merging two blockchains together, one's got billions, they've got billions of dollars on them, and you have to just stick them together. And if you hold Ether, your funds are backed by those blockchains. And so what happens if the merge messes up? I don't think it's going to. That's not what I'm trying to say. This is not trying to say this is FUD. But investors who don't have the same conviction level that I do, don't have the same technical competence to understand what's going on here, and the track record, and they're looking at a risk-off macro environment, and why would they want to take that extra risk? Somebody says, is it feasible to trade crypto on our own exchange with the boot camp? Yeah, definitely. You could trade real-world cryptocurrencies on that. Somebody says crypto is a risk. That's why I'm headed to learn how to write smart contracts. Yeah, totally. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm so big on Web3 pointer development. Is one of the best ways for people to make life-changing money in crypto is to learn a high-income skill like blockchain. You've come to the right place. Is Blocksite my own product? Yes, I created Blocksite. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so the more people learn about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you start it today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you'll take a master shortcut entirely, I can become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You'd have to be an expert to get started today. About people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.